19.46 seconds. At first, that number doesn't sound impossible. Then you realize what it actually represents. 19.46 seconds is how long it took a young man from a small village in Botswana to run 200 meters faster than almost every human being who has ever lived. Not just in his generation, not just among active athletes, in the entire history of the sport. A time so fast that it instantly placed him among names that have dominated track and field for decades. And the craziest part, he was only 21 years old. He wasn't supposed to be standing there. He wasn't supposed to be beating the biggest stars on the planet. He wasn't supposed to be carrying an entire nation on his shoulders. Yet when the dust settled at the Paris Olympics, one athlete had done something nobody from Botswana had ever done before. Letsile Tebogo became an Olympic champion, and suddenly the entire world was asking the same question. Who is this kid? Because this wasn't just another gold medal. This wasn't just another talented sprinter. This was a warning shot to the rest of track and field. A message that the future might already be here. And if that's true, then the most terrifying part for his rivals is that he's only getting started. Think about that. For years, sprinting has belonged to a handful of countries. The United States, Jamaica, a few traditional powerhouses that produce champion after champion. The system is built for them. The resources are built for them. The spotlight is built for them. Botswana wasn't supposed to enter that conversation. Yet somehow a young athlete from a nation with a population smaller than many major cities arrived on the biggest stage in sports and outran everyone. Not in a junior competition, not in a developmental event, the Olympic Games. The same stage where legends are made. The same stage where careers collapse under pressure. The same stage where millions of people around the world are watching every step. And he didn't just win, he ended Noah Lyles' incredible winning streak. Let that sink in. Noah Lyles had become one of the most dominant sprinters on earth. For years, he seemed untouchable in major championship racing. Then a young athlete from Botswana showed up and changed the script. But here's what makes the story even more unbelievable. The Olympic gold medal isn't the beginning of the story, it's the middle. Because long before the world knew his name, long before stadiums chanted for him, long before television cameras followed his every move, nobody expected greatness from Letsile Tebogo. Nobody was searching for him. Nobody was recruiting him. Nobody was predicting world records. In fact, if life had gone according to his original plan, he might never have become a sprinter at all. As a child growing up in Kanye, Botswana, Tebogo wasn't dreaming about Olympic tracks. He wanted to play football. That was the dream. That was the future he imagined. But again and again, he found himself overlooked. Again and again, he found himself sitting on the sidelines. The opportunities never seemed to come. For many young athletes, that's where the story ends. Disappointment becomes defeat. The dream fades away. But for Tebogo, rejection created something dangerous. Motivation. Every great sports story has a turning point. A moment when frustration becomes fuel. For Michael Jordan, it was being cut. For countless champions, it was doubt. For Tebogo, it was being overlooked. Because when football stopped opening doors, he started running through walls, and nobody understood yet what was about to happen. At first, he didn't look like the future of sprinting. He was shy, quiet, reserved. People called him schoolboy. Not exactly the nickname you would expect for someone who would eventually terrify the fastest men in the world. But greatness often arrives disguised. The loudest athlete isn't always the most dangerous. Sometimes it's the quiet one, the one nobody notices, the one who keeps showing up, the one who keeps improving, the one who doesn't need attention because he's focused on something bigger. And Tebogo was improving at a frightening rate. The problem was that almost nobody outside Botswana noticed. Track and field history is filled with young stars who dominate local competitions and then disappear when they face international competition. The leap from promising athlete to global contender is enormous. Most never make it. So when Tebogo began attracting attention as a teenager, the question wasn't whether he was talented. The question was whether he could survive against the world's best. Then came Nairobi, and suddenly the rest of the world started paying attention. At the World Under-20 Championships, Tebogo didn't just compete. He announced himself, gold medal, championship record, international validation. But here's the important detail. Winning one youth championship doesn't make someone a future legend. The sport has seen plenty of junior stars. Many disappear, many plateau, many never reach the elite level. So the real question became much bigger. Could he keep improving? Could he make the jump? Could he become one of the fastest men on earth? The answer arrived sooner than anyone expected. In 2022, Tebogo ran 9.96 seconds in the 100 meters. 9.96. For most athletes, breaking 10 seconds is a dream, a career-defining achievement, something they chase for years. years. Tebogo did it as a teenager. Not only that, he became the first athlete from Botswana ever to run under 10 seconds. The first. Think about how difficult that is. Not the second, not the third. The first person in an entire nation's history. And it wasn't just a national breakthrough, it was a world under 20 record. The fastest time ever recorded by someone his age. Ever. Across every country. Across every generation. Across every junior athlete who had ever run before him. Now consider what that means. When your name starts appearing beside records, expectations change. People stop asking whether you're talented. They start asking whether you're special. They stop asking whether you can win. They start asking how far you can go. And that's when the pressure begins. Because records create attention. Attention creates expectations. And expectations can destroy young athletes. Suddenly, every race matters. Every performance is analyzed. Every mistake becomes a headline. Many young stars crumble under that weight. But Tebogo kept getting better, which created another problem for the rest of the world. The more he improved, the harder he became to explain. Because his path made no sense. The accepted blueprint for sprinting success seemed obvious. Leave home. Move to a major training center. Join a powerhouse program. Train alongside world champions. That's what many elite athletes do. Yet Tebogo chose something different. He stayed. He remained in Botswana. He continued working with coach Nyamodisa Mosiman. While others chased famous systems, Tebogo trusted the people who had believed in him from the beginning. That decision was risky. Many people questioned it. How could he compete with athletes backed by larger programs? How could he reach the highest level without relocating? How could he keep improving? But here's the crazy part. Every year he provided another answer. Every year he became faster. Every year he became stronger. Every year the doubts looked more ridiculous. And through it all, he remained connected to where he came from. Before races, he listened to traditional songs from his childhood. A ritual, a reminder, a connection to home. Because while the world saw a rising superstar, Tebogo never forgot the village that helped shape him. That grounding would become more important than anyone could have imagined. Because in 2024, everything changed. Not on the track, not in competition, in life. The loss was devastating. His mother, Elizabeth Saratiwa, passed away. The person who had supported him through the journey, the person who had been there before the medals, before the records, before the headlines. Suddenly she was gone, and no amount of athletic success can prepare someone for that. No world record, no gold medal, no championship, nothing. The grief was enormous, the timing was cruel, and the Olympic Games were approaching. Imagine that pressure. Imagine trying to train. Imagine trying to focus. Imagine carrying that pain while preparing for the most important competition of your life. Many people would have understood if he stepped away. Many people expected him to. Nobody would have blamed him, but Tebogo chose to continue. Not because it was easy, because it wasn't. Not because he wasn't hurting, because he was. He continued because sometimes athletes compete for something bigger than medals. Sometimes they compete for people. Sometimes they carry memories. Sometimes every step becomes a tribute. And that's exactly what made Paris different. The Olympics weren't simply about winning anymore. They had become personal, deeply personal. Yet the challenge awaiting him was almost impossible. The men's 200 meters wasn't filled with ordinary runners. It was filled with elite athletes, world champions, global stars, experienced competitors, the kind of field that exposes weakness immediately. One mistake and your dream is over. One slow start and everything disappears. The pressure was unbelievable. An entire nation watching. A personal tragedy weighing on him. The strongest competition on earth standing beside him. And then the gun fired. What happened next transformed sports history. Tebogo exploded down the track. Smooth, controlled, fearless. The kind of race athletes dream about but rarely produce. Step by step, he separated himself from the field. Step by step, disbelief spread through the stadium because viewers weren't watching an upset anymore. They were watching domination. By the finish line, the result was undeniable. 19.46 seconds. Again, 19.46. The number that changed everything. The number that delivered Botswana's first Olympic gold medal. The number that elevated Tebogo from rising star to global icon. The number that instantly became part of sprinting history. And the impact was extraordinary. The victory was so significant that Botswana declared a national holiday. Think about that, an entire country stopping to celebrate one athlete. That doesn't happen because someone wins a race. That happens when someone changes what people believe is possible. For generations, Botswana had never seen an Olympic champion. Then Tebogo delivered one. For generations, children dreamed of achieving greatness. Then Tebogo gave them proof. Not theory, not hope. Proof. But here's where the story becomes even bigger. Olympic champions come and go. Great athletes appear every generation. So what makes Tebogo different? Why are people already talking about him in conversations normally reserved for legends? The answer lies in one terrifying fact. He's still improving. Most athletes reach the top after years of development. Tebogo reached the top while still approaching his prime. That's what has experts paying attention. That's what has rivals worried. Because sprinting history suggests that some athletes make another leap after reaching elite status. And if Tebogo makes that leap, the numbers become frightening, which brings us to the name nobody can escape. Usain Bolt, the standard, the benchmark, the greatest sprinter many people have ever seen. For years, Bolt's 200-meter world record has seemed untouchable, 19.19 seconds, a number that feels almost unreal, a number that has survived challenge after challenge, a number that has humbled generations of elite athletes. Now, nobody is saying Tebogo has broken it, not yet, but here's why the conversation exists. At an age when many sprinters are still developing, Tebogo has already produced performances that place him among the fastest men in history, not among young athletes, not among prospects, among everyone, and every season seems to reveal another level, another breakthrough, another reason to believe. Even Bolt himself has acknowledged the emergence of the young Botswanan star, because when performances become impossible to ignore, even legends pay attention, and that creates the biggest question of all. What happens next? Can he defend Olympic gold? Can he dominate world championships? Can he become the face of sprinting? Can he build a rivalry that defines an era? Can he push the limits of human speed even further? Those questions matter because track and field is entering a transition period. Every generation searches for its next icon, its next superstar, its next athlete capable of inspiring millions. And Tebogo is positioning himself directly in that conversation. Remember where this started? A shy kid called Schoolboy, a football dream that didn't work out, a teenager nobody expected to rewrite history, a young athlete from a country that wasn't supposed to dominate sprinting. Now compare that to where he stands today. Olympic champion, world record holder, national hero, one of the fastest men alive. The transformation feels impossible. Yet every step happened. Every obstacle happened. Every doubt happened. And every achievement happened. But the most important detail isn't what he's already done. It's what he hasn't done yet, because athletes become legends when people stop measuring them against their peers and start measuring them against history. Tebogo is approaching that territory. The records are getting closer. The expectations are getting larger. The spotlight is getting brighter. And the opportunities are becoming historic. The next Olympics are coming. The next World Championships are coming. More records are waiting. More pressure is waiting. More rivals are waiting. The story isn't ending, it's expanding. Some athletes spend their careers chasing greatness. Others arrive and force greatness to chase them. And right now, Letsile Tebogo is moving so fast that even the future seems to be struggling to keep up. So here's the question. Years from now, when the next generation looks back at this era of sprinting, will they remember Letsile Tebogo as an Olympic champion? Or will they remember him as the athlete who finally turned the impossible dream of challenging Usain Bolt's legacy into reality?